infrastructure to deal with. And we're meeting with interested parties that are interested in infrastructure. We're also meeting with Republican leadership. Our chair of the Transportation Committee, the ranking member, is going to all be in Kevin's office to talk about infrastructure. So we do want to work together. I just think the part that I think is interesting is they're digging up something from 2 years ago that they couldn't get, other than getting it out of the house, they couldn't get it in.
Are there any assurances you can give homeowners out there that you're working to ease the growth of property taxes?
Yeah, absolutely. That's why we have a 2-year interim on this subject. We created that 2-year interim last year. They're going to come to us with some initial recommendations here. Absolutely. I can tell you it's great to hear Christopher Rance is finally concerned about property taxes, because when he controlled the place, his only contribution was a $60 million property tax increase. When he pulled the rug out from under cities and counties, he cut $60 million out of cities and counties and forced them to raise property taxes and cut services. I'm glad Christopher finally recognizes the property taxes as a problem. Now let's talk about the problem. This is a 30-year problem. This is 2008. This mechanism was created in 1978. They created the mechanism that led to the rollback. It's a big problem. The size of the problem is probably in the neighborhood of $1 billion. We will not find a $1 billion solution this year. But we are working very hard. We worked last year and put money into mental health last year to control the property taxes. We will continue to work on this issue in a diligent way, but not in a way by their own admission. The mechanism of 78 is a problem. It's a problem for all taxpayers, and it's a problem for local governments by their own admission. Magnifying that problem by doing the same thing on commercial and industrial property doesn't solve anything. So we're going to look at a more real solution to this problem rather than a band-aid solution that represents
How much of your allowable growth figure is actually for property tax increases?
The state dollars are about 100 million. Property tax dollars are about 40 million. So, give or take.
One thing I wanted to mention in response to your question, on the budgetary side, you're right, there's not going to be a lot of new programs because we set in motion major funding commitments last year, and we're going to maintain those commitments. So I think that's a responsible thing to do. But in terms of some of the policy areas, I think you're going to see, and you're already seeing it this week without even legislation that we're working on, one of the big battles of this year is going to be to try to move in a positive direction as it relates to climate change and global warming, and trying to deal with the Office of Energy Independence recommendations. From our perspective, that's still a blank chalkboard. We're going to work on that issue, but we're going to try to move in a positive direction as it relates to global warming. And it has become already a pretty heated part of the discussion. There's emails from legislators going back and forth. We're seeing points of personal privilege. And I just think that, yes, we want to pay attention to science. Yes, we want to listen to alternative views. But there is consensus on this issue of climate change. And I think the debate that we're going to have, and I expect it to be a long partisan debate when we actually debate this legislation in a month or two, can be best captured by Representative Dwayne Alonzo's statement this week. He said, we need not worry about global warming because we have refrigerators and air conditioning. And that's just wrong on so many levels. And I think it speaks for itself. But that's going to be a battle we're going to have on the policy side later this session.
Some conservative activists delivered some petitions to the legislature today calling for the impeachment of a Polk County judge who issued a gay marriage ruling. What's going to happen with those?
The bottom line is, I didn't even know we could do impeachment until you guys called me, like in September, and then I found out we could. But I'll just tell you, the House has to start it. We're not doing anything on it. We're going to continue our focus on the things we talked about the first day of session, Mike. I think the problem is we have people out there that are listening to Christopher, that they want to be a judge, they want to be a jury, and they want the legislature. And the bottom line is, we have a judicial process in motion. We should let the Supreme Court rule on it and go from there. But I think it's way too premature. And here's the other problem. Judge Hanson hasn't done anything wrong. The idea behind impeachments is high crimes and misdemeanors. They can't say he's done anything wrong other than he ruled on a case the way he thought he should, and I don't think any judge should be faulted for that, whether you agree with it or disagree with it. He's doing his job. So there's no plans on my part on taking that up, and we're not going to spend any time on it this session.
Are you vulnerable on that issue in November? I mean, that's what this is all about, clearly.
Let me put it this way. The bottom line is, I'm not going to interrupt the judicial process, even if it involves November elections. If Republicans want to do that, and that's what they're stooping to, so be it. But the bottom line is, Pat Murphy's not going to take up anything that deals with this issue this year. It has nothing to do with making sure kids get a good education, whether or not we can access health care for kids that currently don't have it, or people that currently don't have it. We've got to decide whether, what we can do on the budget. Can we do can we look at combined reporting? Can we look at the bottom bill? If we don't, how are we going to balance the budget? I think those are the things that Iowans are really focused on. And I think the other part too is, we talked today about a lot of things that we did to help our economy so that we were not affected at the federal level, like most other states are with the economy right now. We raised the minimum wage. We focused on what we need to do for families. We created a power fund. We did a number of different things. We made sure that we did the earned income tax credit to take care of low-income families. We really think are focusing on the mainstream issues that most Iowans are interested in. And so I think, quite frankly, that's where our focus needs to be, and not on these highly emotional issues that some people get charged up.
If I could comment on that, we're not on the wrong side of that issue. I don't think that your average ordinary Iowan who works hard and plays by the rules gets up every morning with gay marriage on their mind. Most people get up with crazy things like breakfast, maybe a coffee in the morning. Who's on the wrong side of an issue here is Republicans as it relates to illegal immigration. They are on the wrong side of that issue. We're hearing from Iowans, including Republicans, that they're on the wrong side of the issue, standing up for corporate CEOs who are skirting illegal immigration laws is I think, much more harmful politically for their caucus vis-a-vis ours. We're going to try to move forward in an aggressive fashion to do something in the area of illegal immigration, because Iowans are asking us to do so. We're going to receive strong resistance from some in the business community who say it hurts business. Our response is going to be, don't hire illegal immigrants. It won't hurt your business. And it's also, we're going to do it in a way that's civil and compassion, with human dignity for people who are being abused, not being paid benefits and health care, not paying the workers' comp because of people skirting the law. So that's something that they're on the wrong side.
Kevin, most of the opposition to that bill in the subcommittee yesterday was coming from traditional groups that traditionally support you, that were talking about the human rights impact of that and opposing what you're proposing.
When I visited with some of those groups, every time I visited with various groups, they have, I don't want to speak for them, but they kind of altered their perception. Here's why. The issue is, I know some folks wish it was not upon us, but the issue is upon us. Okay? It is upon us. We have pockets where we're having some problems in Iowa, and the voters are asking us to do something in this regard. There's two approaches. You do it in a humane way, in a way that recognizes that you have human beings that are giving up everything they have because a wealthy Mexican government is not doing right by its people, and the federal government, the United States, is not enforcing the laws, and they're coming up here with employers who are knowingly skirting the law. You either address the issue where it needs to be addressed, from an Iowa perspective, employers, or you address it in a way that has racist overtones, the human being that's being abused. We're going to stay away from that.
Well, that's what they say the bill does.
After I visit with them, we talk about what the bill does and how it's really a bill for human rights, for these people not being abused and put into this situation. And I think there's movement on that perspective. But it's something that Iowans are asking us to deal with, and we're going to do it in a responsible way.
In this jobs area, like last night on the news, that Iowa's unemployment was up by what, 4%. But still back home in all the local newspapers that I pick up, every trucking company is looking for drivers. All the manufacturers and processors looking for welders. And in the health field, the hospital is looking for people from the kitchen to in all areas of the hospital. The casinos are looking for help. I mean, there's jobs out there, and I don't think we ought to be scaring people with the recession because we got a 4% unemployment number. I don't think the two go together.
Are those highway jobs, high wage jobs that you're talking?
Well, there's some high wage jobs you bet. If you're a skilled welder, or if you have a health profession, there's lots of jobs there.